Rebecca, when I start focusing on consciousness, I see a dramatic bifurcation of my friends. Many of them are brain scientists, and they are absolutely sure that ultimately the physical explanation will explain it 100%. Other people think that's impossible, and they go off into some dualism. Many of them have a religious motivation. But those who really think through the problem, who think that you can physically explain this, realize at the end of the day there's something hard about it. And where they then go is that they say that what we imagine consciousness to be is really an illusion, that we're fooling ourselves, just like a trick visual diagram, that what we think is this unity, this experience, is really not. It's just a combination of sense modalities that we focus on at one time or another, and we have this illusion of something that is not real.
As a novelist, I spent so much of my life trying to imagine what it's like to be other people and what the world seems like from their point of view. And I can't for the life of me imagine holding that point of view that you just stated. It seems to me incomprehensible. In a lot of times in the history, in our progress of becoming clearer and clearer about what world we live in, what kind of things exist, we've eliminated certain things that we believed existed. I mean, people used to believe witches existed, and they explained all sorts of things by reference, milk going sour and babies dying for no reason, but, would explain by that cackling little old lady living in the hut. And then, of course, we find another explanation that eliminates any reference to the witch. We understand about germs and fermentation and why the milk went sour, and we understand about instant death syndrome in babies and whatever. And we understand about schizophrenic old ladies who talk to themselves. And these explanations take the place. And we say, it only seemed to us that this was a good explanation. It only seemed to us that this world had witches in it. And now we have an explanation that totally eliminates it. I try to imagine what it would be like to have an explanation in terms of neurophysiology or whatever the most advanced science we have at that time is, that would say, it only seemed to us that we were conscious. It's seeming to us that we are conscious is a description of a conscious state. So I don't understand what this could even mean. I could understand that maybe we can get a description down at the physical level, which is so refined that we have a one-to-one correspondence between every conscious state and every physical state, so that by giving the physical state description, you say, oh yes, you're saying that you're nervous, you're saying that you're you're longing for your husband, or we would know that there was this correlation. But that to get a description that would say, no, it only seems to you that you're longing for your husband. You're not. The physics is what's going on. I don't understand what that could even mean.
Well, if you had that longing for your husband, and you could show that with every neuron, way beyond our current science, but in principle possible, what the firing patterns of the electrical impulse in all the, call it 827 million neurons is going on at this time, and that gives you this feeling.
Yes.
Some people would say that is your consciousness, and if you think it's any different, that's an illusion.
Well, okay. If we were able to completely capture what that state felt like to the person who was having it by a physical description.
You can describe it.
Completely describe it. I would say, we would have then reduced the state. We would have shown what it really consists in, which is a different statement than saying that we would have eliminated it. It's one thing to have, we reduced heat. Heat is molecular motion. We don't say heat doesn't exist. We just say heat consists in the kinetic motion of...
But we say heat is that.
Heat is nothing but that.
Heat is the movement and then the speed of movement of molecules.
Exactly. It is nothing but that. And so if you have a description on the molecular level, you have a description of heat, and nothing has been left out.
Right.
And that is something I don't think it could ever be with consciousness, but it's conceivable to me. I know what people mean when they say that they think that's going to happen. But that we could get an elimination of the sort we did with, for example, caloric fluid. People used to think that heat was caloric fluid, or that fire was phlogiston. Those things were eliminated. They don't exist. It's not that we've shown what they consist in. They have no explanatory use whatsoever, and they simply have been eliminated. I can't imagine that with consciousness. And one big difference between consciousness, our knowledge of consciousness, and phlogiston and caloric fluid is those things, caloric fluid, phlogiston, we thought that they existed because they were inferred to explain something. We don't infer consciousness to explain. I mean, it does explain things, but that's not why we know that consciousness exists. We know it exists. It's so intimately, as Descartes said, there is nothing more that I know than my own mind.